Take a seat.
Wow, aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording of a man plumping a cushion, and if you listen really closely, you can hear him ask his friend to take a seat. This recording is from 1492. Just wonderful. Hello and welcome back. That was good, wasn't it? That was a singing intro, a songtro, as they say. Welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. Today we're looking at Sonnet 64. And that's simply because last week we looked at Sonnet 63, so it only makes sense to look at the one after that, of course. And Sonnet 63 was all about time and about aging, as Shakespeare is wont to talk about. So I'm intrigued to find out if Sonnet 64 is along the same lines, or he's moving on. He's done with time. Well, we're about to bloody find out. When I have seen, by time's fell hand, defaced the rich proud cost of outworn buried age, when sometime lofty towers I see down-razed, and brass eternal slave to mortal rage, when I have seen the hungry ocean gain advantage on the kingdom of the shore, and the firm soil win of the watery main, increasing store with loss, and loss with store, when I have seen such interchange of state, or state itself confounded to decay, ruin hath taught me thus to ruminate, that time will come and take my love away. This thought is as a death, which cannot choose but weep to have that which it fears to lose. There we have it, Sonnet 64, and yeah, it's still about time. It's still about time, and how destructive time can be. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's just time's fault, you know? Like it's what happens during that passing of time, you know, like mankind often just destroying things. That's not necessarily because of time passing, that's because mankind sucks sometimes and do bad things. So Shakespeare's having a go at time a lot, but maybe he should be having a go at the human race. Wow, there's a thought, isn't it? Look at that. I have turned it around upon Shakespeare. So take that, Shakespeare. Maybe you should be talking about the humans and not the clocks. Okay, that's enough waffling. And that really was waffle. I'm truly sorry about that. But let's find out what the hell Shakespeare was going on about in Sonnet 64. So we start with, when I have seen, by time's fell hand, defaced the rich proud cost of outworn buried age. So here he's saying, when I've seen time's horrible hand, bad hand, deface the lovely monuments of buried dead men from years ago. When sometime lofty towers I see down-razed. So he's continuing along the line of age destroying things. So he's talked about monuments, and then he's saying when I've seen lofty towers torn down. So you know, towers, buildings, all that, when they've been destroyed by time, sort of crumbled to the ground. And brass eternal slave to mortal age. And here he's saying, when I've seen even brass, you know, something made out of brass, be destroyed to mortal age. Now that is saying by humans, I think. He's saying, you know, when I see these brass structures destroyed by humans, so maybe that's sort of to do with war, potentially, being torn down during war, or just general time probably not, I was going to say graffitiing it, but I don't know if that was a thing back then, sort of graffitiing statues. That's not a very nice thing to do, but maybe people were going out at night and just, spraying a tag on a monument. Not for me to say. But generally here he's saying, when I see time destroy monuments and towers and even brass things, and brass is hard to destroy, we all know that. And then he continues with, when I have seen the hungry ocean gain advantage on the kingdom of the shore. So here he's saying, when I've seen the hungry ocean, the hungry sea, eat up the land, essentially. So, when sea slowly laps away over time at maybe cliff faces, I'm imagining here, and it's lapping away and it's eroding the bit of land that we see. So actually sometimes, you see, well, definitely in England, cliff faces sort of eroding, and that's happening because the sea is just lapping away at it constantly, eating it up, as Shakespeare's saying. And the firm soil win of the watery main. So here he's flipping it around, saying actually when the land takes over the water, eats up the water. Trying to think of an example of when that happens. When does land take over water? I mean, it had to have happened at some point. Maybe write in and let me know when land, an example of when land has taken over water. Am I being an idiot? Oh, maybe Venice. Is that a good example? I don't know. Is Venice? I feel like I was told years ago that Venice was built on stilts or something like that. It's sort of all this land that's built on stilts that go down into the sea. So maybe he's just talking about Venice. That's technically land taking over the sea. In fact, now I say it out loud, that sounds insane. Is that true? Is Venice built on stilts? Someone please tell me if that's true. If it's not, I'm really sorry for spreading misinformation. Anyway, we continue with increasing store with loss and loss with store. And that's basically referring to what he's just said about the water gaining over the land and then the land gaining over the sea. It's one's loss is the other's gain. When I have seen such interchange of state, or state itself confounded to decay. So he's saying, now that I've seen all these things being eroded and changing and things falling into decay, ruin hath taught me thus to ruminate. So all this destruction has taught him, Shakespeare, to think, all right? To think about something. And we're about to find out. That time will come and take my love away. So all this that he's talked about, all this destruction and age and time passing, he's saying that's actually making me think that the time will come eventually when my love will be taken away from me. So that's quite a morbid thought, isn't it? But, it's important. We think about these things sometimes. We think about death. We talk about death. We don't do that enough, I don't think, in society. We're quite sort of closed off. We don't like to mention it much. It's a scary thing. But here's my confusion here, because I've sort of felt like Shakespeare's always talking about his love being younger than him. And so is he imagining himself to live longer than his love here? Is he going, oh no, it'd be a nightmare to see my lover die, but obviously I'm Shakespeare and I'm going to live probably forever. So yeah, I will have to see my lover die. Or is he saying that time will take his love away because he's going to die, because Shakespeare's going to die? It sounds like the former, but happy to be proved wrong. Maybe I'll send Shakespeare a message or something. See what he has to say for himself there. This thought is as a death, which cannot choose but weep to have that which it fears to lose. So here he's saying this thought is like death. It's horrible. And actually makes me cry, alright? Is that okay to say? So this thought is like death. It makes me cry. over, what I'm afraid of losing, aka his lover. So right at the end, he's turned it back onto his lover and he's gone, oh no, it would actually really suck to lose my lover. And maybe he's not talking about death. Maybe he's just saying as time goes by, there's a chance that my lover might not want to be with me. Because, that can happen in relationships. Sorry if that's news to you. Sorry if you're hearing this for the first time, but breakups can happen. Divorces can happen. And maybe that's what he's saying here. He's saying, he's not necessarily going to die. Well, he will at some point, but no, it could be the death of the relationship. Ah, there's a thought. So there it is. Sonnet 64. We're still talking about time. We're still talking about time being a bit of an arsehole, destroying things. And that's making Shakespeare think about his relationship and how that isn't eternal. That will end at some point, whether it be death or whether it be something else, like maybe his lover's going to cheat on him. I don't know, that's a bad one. Maybe his lover just isn't interested in him anymore, or something like that, I don't know. And may I say, Shakespeare, you've outdone yourself with the rhyming in this one. I said previously that I like when he pops in a nice rhyme, but here we've got age, raised, rage, gain. Well, is that a rhyme? Not really. Short, gain, main. Oh no, rage, age. Okay, sorry. Well, let me start again. Defaced, raised. Kind of half rhyme. Age, rage. That's a rhyme. Gain, main. State. No, that's it. But that's quite a few of them, isn't it? That's quite a lot of rhyming going on. So good to see it, because I know that Shakespeare was thinking he's above rhyming, but let's not. No, come on. You're a rhymer, my guy. You always have been. You rhyme a lot in your plays, and I respect it, because now we think of rhyme as maybe a bit tacky. But look at this. He's rhyming away, and it's a classy poem. Fantastic stuff. Okay, I think it's about time we put Sonnet 64 to our story. And if you remember last week, Shakespeare has gone to the pub to see an old man who says that he knows time itself. And the old man has said, yep, I know time. And he's invited time down into the pub, and Shakespeare has read Sonnet 63 to time. Okay? And he's a bit dubious, I think. But he's done it all the same. And he's been in that pub for 5 days. This man said, you have to wait 5 days with me before time comes. So that is where we've left off. Shakespeare finishes reading Sonnet 63 to time. There's a long pause. Shakespeare says to the old man, Did time hear that? How do we know if time heard that? And the old man said, oh, time knows. Time knows. And Shakespeare said, yeah, but did he hear? And the old man said, listen, yes, absolutely. Now, you also need to pay the bar tab, and that was quite a lot of money because we've drunk quite a lot. So, pay the bar tab. And Shakespeare said, oh, for God's sake, you've been having me on this whole time, haven't you? Oh, well, I'm so gullible sometimes. Sometimes I think I'm the smartest guy in the world, and then sometimes this happens, where an old man tells me that he knows time, and I wait in the pub with him for 5 days, and I have lots of drinks, and then he invites time down, and then I realise it's all a piss take. Thanks, man. And he goes to the bar and pays the bill of £100, guineas, half crowns. And then, just as he's leaving angrily, the clock that is hanging above the door of the pub suddenly whizzes round and does a full turn of the hour hand. And Shakespeare goes, what? And he looks round to see if anyone else has noticed, but everyone's too busy drinking and having a laugh. He looks to the old man nods at him and says, see? And Shakespeare says, oh my God, you're right. Time is here with us. And the old man says, of course he is. I invited him. He's my friend. And Shakespeare suddenly thought of the love of his life, Christopher Marlowe, all those miles away in Barbados. And he thought, oh my God, time will keep moving and I may lose this man forever. He ran back to the old man and said, can I say one more thing to time? Is time still here? And the old man said, buy a pint for time, and time may listen further, but your window is short. Make it quick. Shakespeare ran over to the bar lady and said, one more pint, please, for time. And the woman said, all right, how much have you had to drink? And he said, it's honestly, it's a pint for time. And she said, just here's your pint. Be off with you. Shakespeare ran back to the old man and said, do you have any paper? Do you have any paper? Because I need to sort of get my thoughts out and write quickly to time again while he's still here, because I need to say what the time's been a bit of an asshole and I'm worried about my lover and that maybe my lover will die before me and I'm going to lose my lover. And did you have any paper? And the old man said, no. So Shakespeare said, well, let me... Okay, let me write on your... Do you mind? Can I write on your back? Is that weird? Is that a weird thing to do? And the old man said, well, I guess you can. And Shakespeare said, oh, thank you. Okay, let me write with this, with my finger, and I'll get some soot from the fireplace, and then I'll write it on your back, and then I'll read it out to time from your back. Does that make sense? And the old man says, look, just do what you want, but make it quick, for God's sake. So Shakespeare ran over to the fireplace and got his fingers all sooty, and then he went over to the old man, rolled up his shirt and scrawled Sonnet 64 on his back. By the end of it, Shakespeare was in tears. He was thinking about the passing of time, the destruction that time has caused, the world, and his relationship, potentially. And he looked at the clock. The clock gave another quick spin of the hour hand, and Shakespeare said, stop, time! I've got another sonnet for you. And time stood still. Everyone in the pub froze. It was just Shakespeare and time. Shakespeare looked at the old man's back and read Sonnet 64. Now that I've seen time's hand ruin beautiful and expensive monuments of dead blokes, and once lofty towers torn down, now that I've even seen hard brass destroyed by human hands, now that I've seen the hungry ocean eat up the land, and the firm soil seize the ocean's territory, making one's loss the other's gain, now that I've seen things constantly change or fall into ruin, it has taught me to think that time will eventually come and take my love away from me. This thought is bloody horrible and makes me cry over the fear of losing what I currently have. Wow, there we are, Sonnet 64, and indeed the story to accompany it. These last few stories have been a bit crazy. I'm not going to lie. But listen, it's all improv and I don't know where the stories are going to go, and this is where it's taken me. I didn't expect that Shakespeare would be doing a couple of sonnets to time itself, and that there would be an old man in a pub that introduces Shakespeare to time. But that's what's in my head, and that's what has to be said. And that is a rhyme, and a very Shakespearean rhyme at that. So, until next week, where hopefully we learn a bit more about Barbados and what's going on over there with Mercutio and Christopher Marlowe. Until then, bye!